I've been having a really hard time articulating this, so please bear with me. There's probably going to be a lot of jump cuts in this video. Also, I realized that these lines on my forehead make me look like I'm angry and like I'm frowning when I'm not. What I want to talk about is I've had a thought that's been blossoming for maybe the last year, maybe a bit less. I don't know how to put this into words, but it's like this very premature thought that I know this is gonna sound stupid. I know how this is gonna sound. I think I'm starting to feel a desire to use my brain to think more deeply about things and practice critical thought and engage more with meaningful, significant thoughts and discourse. Now, the reason this is something I'm only feeling now is that I've always felt very intimidated by higher thinking, because I did really badly in school. I performed really poorly academically, really bad grades, bad results on my GCSEs and such, and I just felt stupid in school, in classes, particularly maths. That was a really big thing for me. I also would compare myself to a member of my family who was a couple of years above me in school, who performed so well, was so smart, and I kind of felt like the stupid child. I mean, I was artistic. I was the art kid. That's a whole other thing to get into. So since then, I've been very insecure about just being stupid, feeling like a stupid person, just not as smart, not an intelligent person. I've always felt quite emotionally intelligent, but academically, maybe there's better words to describe that, but I can't think of any because I'm stupid, obviously. I've always felt really dull in that area, and I've always just kind of reinforced that and continued to remind myself, you're stupid, you're not a smart person. I've worked on my self-esteem. I unsurprisingly grew up with very poor self-esteem, and I've had therapy, and that's something I've worked on, and I've gotten better at not hating myself, but I still, it almost became like a kind of like defensive reinforcement of like, you can feel good about yourself and you do deserve to be alive and you do not deserve to suffer necessarily, but just be aware that you're not the brightest person. And part of it is not me necessarily trying to be just mean to myself for no reason. I just didn't want to have an expectation of myself to be able to perform like other people. So that's a kind of background of where it may have originated from. But then, and this is something, a thought that I'm still developing, and I believe there's a lot of information that I'm missing, and there's a lot I still have to learn about this, but I can look back now and reflect on my life and realize that so much of it, and so much of my mental and emotional energy and so much of my spirit has been exhausted and spent on caring about how I look and whether or not I'm pretty enough, and monitoring and altering my appearance to a pathologically excessive amount. I've experienced levels of body dysmorphia. I'd say at its worst was a couple of years ago, when every single day I would wake up and spend the entire day checking my appearance in the mirror, taking photos of myself at different angles to see how I looked. It was a lot of checking, a lot of repetitive checking, and then analyzing, and then researching surgeries, procedures, photoshopping my face to change these features that I found so distressing. I mean, I was stressed every single day, and I'd spend the entire 24 hours of the day with my image occupying my thoughts, because I felt very ugly growing up. God, I felt ugly and stupid. I was not a happy young woman. I was a very depressed and sad teenager. Original, but I mean, I felt very strongly that I was very, very, very ugly, and I needed to do something about it. Something had to be done. It felt like an immediate threat to my life. Body dysmorphia is something I have a lot of thoughts about that is not what I want to talk about right now. But what I'm trying to emphasize is I've spent an amount of time on thinking about and performing actions towards my appearance and changing my appearance that I will never recover. That time was spent, and I believe it took something from me that is irredeemable. And my point in what I'm trying to talk about right now is that it occupied so much of my active thought that I disregarded anything else that I could have spent my time doing and thinking about. This was more important. This was far more important than anything. I was so distressed. And, you know, maybe even body dysmorphia aside, and this is definitely where I'm not gonna sound very articulate. As a girl, as a woman, I have been truly convinced that my appearance is my only stock, my only currency, and being pretty is the most powerful thing I can be, and it's the most important thing I can be, and it's the only important thing I should be aspiring to. I mean, I truly, I cannot emphasize how true that has felt for me growing up. And that's why I invested so much time into it. And that's why it was so upsetting that I didn't feel pretty. Because not only did I not feel pretty, I felt like I was failing as a woman. And I felt like I had no power. And not being pretty enough eliminated any possibility of me having worth and happiness, which has also been aggravated for me by being online, and not just spending time online, but being a content creator online, which I have been for the last like 4 or 5 years now, maybe. I mean, I've always been like posting myself online, and in general I've been on the internet since I was maybe 12, 11, between 11 and 13, I don't know. So that has influenced me. And what made me want to record this and talk about this is noticing that legitimately, for the first time, that I can understand in my life, I'm starting to consider that being a pretty girl is not the most important thing I can do with my time on this earth. And as I'm saying it, I'm realizing how severe it's been, how severely convinced I've been that the fact that I'm having a thought like this is shocking to me. Says to me that this was something deeply embedded in me. It's starting to become apparent to me that I have other options and there are other things that I can do with myself, and I don't need to spend so much time on this, and it's not the only thing I can do, and it's not the only thing I have to offer, and that I can nurture parts of my character, my personality, my mind. It's just that the reward of feeling pretty and feeling validated is incredibly moving. I think also because I grew up feeling so ugly, and I looked different as a teenager, and like right up to like 20, 21. I mean, I got like braces around that time. I looked different. My face has changed. I look different now in my mid-20s. Feeling ugly as a young girl and as a teenager was so impactful that now that I don't feel that way as much, it has felt like something I need to desperately hold on to with my life and continue to harvest and maintain and just feed this effort into. Now I'm almost emotional thinking about the fact that I have a desire to engage with information in a way I haven't ever before in my life. I want to learn things. I want to broaden my mind and broaden my understanding. I'm going to be 27 this year. It's so sad to me that this is the first time I'm seriously having this thought and seriously thinking about executing it. I've always been insecure about feeling stupid. I've always felt stupid. But it felt like I had a more pressing issue to attend to, and that being not being pretty enough. And I do hope that people can watch this and have enough sensibility that they realize that I'm not asking you to reaffirm how I look or try and convince me that I am pretty. If you do, if that's your immediate response to this, then you've not understood anything I've said. I want to think less about the way I look. I want to experience the joy of that, and the joy of investing more in ideas and hobbies and learning. I think when I'm talking about my experience of being a woman and how I felt particularly targeted by beauty standards and the beauty industry, I think where I struggle to talk about it is I know how I feel, and I know how I feel like it's affected me, but I'm very aware of what comes up in my mind when I think about making these points is the people who will fight tooth and nail to deny women's struggles and feminist ideas. And those aren't necessarily people I should be concerned about, but I realize that I'm posting this on the internet and I'm gonna encounter that, and I know how I've felt, but I know that they might end up making arguments that I don't know how to counter, not because the responding argument isn't there, but because I don't know how to speak about it yet. Anyway, that might be everything I have to say about it. I don't know. This is a new idea for videos because I do this a lot. I introspect a lot, I reflect a lot, and I really enjoy writing, and I didn't write this. This has been completely ad-lib and probably messy, and I'm sorry if I have to edit this heavily and that makes it harder to watch. I'm taking great pauses between things I'm saying because I just don't have the words to describe how I'm feeling, which is part of why I want to do this. I want to be able to speak more effectively and more accurately to some of the things I know I feel. It is so frustrating not being able to describe how I feel because I know it's in there. I know that, and this is what I mean. I know I'm starting to recognize that I have the potential to have meaningful critical thought. I've just never given myself the chance, and I've never opened myself up to engaging with it. Or this is just how I feel right now on this very day, and I'm never going to record anything like this again, and this is going to be really embarrassing. That could happen too. I really just wanted to talk about how I feel and this thought I've been having and what my experience has been. I know that once I stop recording this and start editing it, I'll think of more things to say, but right now I think I've said what was on my mind. Have I been dream angling this whole video? Oh god. I do have a dream angle. Those of you, if you watch my streams or you follow me and pay attention to me, I do have this whole situation with the left side of my face. So this is my dream angle. Whoops. Okay, yeah. If you watch this, if you're at this point now, I'm touched. I appreciate that. I wonder if it held any value for you, and if this spoke to you in any way. I would absolutely love to hear from you. That's part of why I want to do this, and that's part of why I want to share these things, and maybe not necessarily just keep them to myself. These thoughts and ideas locked up in my notes app. How nice would it be if we could have a discussion and share ideas? I'd really like that. So do leave a comment if you have anything to say. Fine if not, no worries if not. But yeah, thank you. Gonna go now.